Hi, welcome to another fruitful discussion with Mrs. M. So for today, we are going to continue our discussion on layer 1. So allow me to share screen first, my presentation. Okay, so as what I have mentioned in our GC and Google Classroom, please disregard the first 7 pages of your midterm module because um, there are error in terms of filing and making it into PDF. So let's continue with um, we've already discussed about the various principles on organization during our prelim period. But for the sake of presentation, allow me to discuss chain of command first. So this refers to the line or chain of supervisors from top to bottom. So it is the system which its purpose is to ensure that orders, directives, and other information are channeled downward and upward through an organizational structure in a timely and uniform fashion. It is also the manner through which the supervisor establish and maintain necessary control over its subordinates. So therefore, our chain of command, um, it is observed in every organization. It is not only observed in the PNP, but in all organization, whether it's public or private. So our chain of command is very important because it allows all members, okay, all members of an organization, like in the PNP organization, to get informed of all memos, orders coming from the higher authorities. Another, there are various categories of police duties. First is we do have the primary line or operation police task. Meaning to say, when you say primary, these are the operational duties. So starting from patrol, investigation, you do have your traffic, your vice, and the juvenile control. So these are the operational police tasks. And when you say secondary or auxiliary service, this includes our records, the property, the crime laboratory. Again, your crime laboratory, it has mga forensics or experts, your transportation and your communication. Another is administrative or managerial police tasks. So this includes our personnel, our intelligence, our inspection, the planning, the budgeting, the training, and even your police community relations. So these are all part of your administrative. So I will no longer discuss about unity of command because we've already discussed that in the prelim period. Now let's focus on the various divisions in the delegation of authority. As what I have mentioned during our discussion, that your span of control, okay, your span of control, the ability of the officer to supervise and to take charge, okay, and delegation of authority, um, they're like couples. Kaya naman, once a certain task is no longer within your capability to control and to supervise, as a good leader or supervisor, it is imperative on your part to delegate the job. When you say delegate, mean to say it's not only the job that you're delegating, including the authority as well. Muna kung gingon ninyo that your delegation of authority and your span of control, they are like couples. Another, there are various divisions in the delegation of authority. Una, it includes your policy formulation. So it involves what are to be done in the form of orders and the broad statement of action. Yes, it is true, because as a good leader, it is very important that once you give or you delegate a certain task, it is imperative on your part to explain kung unsa kabahin ng imuhang gihatag niya nga trabaho. Kaya nga naman, for a, a, a member or a subordinate to be effective, okay, and to be able to achieve the given task, it is very crucial that he or she understands. Muna natin itawag na policy formulation. Second, we do have the so-called direction. So this deals with the procedures, what is to be done, who will do it, when and where, and how it is to be done. Yes, that is correct. Another, supervision, deals with the assistance and guidance given to subordinates to ensure successful performance. Yes, it does not mean that once a job is delegated, both pasabot hands-off na ako sa officer or manager or supervisor. A good manager or a good leader, make sure that once a job is delegated, kinahanglan it must be supervised. Another, execution, deals with the performance of tasks to be done with commensurate authority to fulfill the responsibility. Aside from that, we also have the command responsibility. So, an officer of a police force who is directly or immediately in command shall be answerable under the following doctrine of command responsibility. So, meaning to say, if you are a leader, bisan pag dili ikaw ang kapabuyat, automatic as the leader, as the supervisor, you take responsibility as to whatever untoward incidents that occurred. Okay, so unsa may lain-lain klase? Una is misfeasance. When you say misfeasance, this means it is the improper performance of some act which might be lawfully done in the police service, and this is equivalent to irregularities in the performance of duty. While when you say malfeasance, this refers to the misconduct. So it is the performance of an act which ought to be done. Again, it is the performance of some act which ought not to be done. Another is you do have your nonfeasance. It is the omission of some act which ought to be performed. It is referred to us as neglect of duty. Ang pangutan na, unsay kalainan aning tulo. Balikta. When you say misfeasance, meaning to say these are the irregularities, okay, irregularities in the performance which could be done properly. Like for example, conducting an arrest. Diba? We have mentioned in our last discussion that when you conduct an arrest, as the arresting officer, whether it's with warrant or without a warrant, you need to remember as the acting arresting officer, kinahanglan you need to stipulate the Miranda rights of, kasi Miranda rights, the basic rights of the arrested person. Usa kitong mga basic rights gani, nga kinahanglan imong ihatag, kinahanglan imo siyang i-inform about his accusation. Another, kinahanglan imo siyang inon nga he has the right to remain silent. Another is, kinahanglan po siya nimong inform nga he has the right to have his own lawyer. And if he cannot provide, then he will then provide coming from the public attorney's office. So those are the three basic rights la na kinahanglan nimong ihatag. Dili kay ang tibuok Republic Act 7438 imong ihatag. No, those are the three basic rights lang nga gi-require that whenever you conduct an arrest, kinahanglan, if given the opportunity, basta dili ra siya mulaban, dili siya mo iskapo, dili siya mo patay, so kinahanglan imo gyud na siyang ihatag. Okay. Kaya nga naman, if you cannot provide those basic rights, and you cannot justify or you cannot provide a justifiable reason for not giving the rights, it will result to the irregularity in the performance. So it will also result to technicalities. Okay? So most likely, if the person is arrested without the virtue of a warrant, and during inquest proceeding, the inquest prosecutor will be able to identify that you failed to provide the basic rights even if you do have the opportunity, then most likely the inquest prosecutor will order for the immediate release of the person. So kana is an example of misfeasance. Another good example of a misfeasance, um, kanang maghimo mo og blatter. Na dili nimo tarungon paghimo og blatter imbis ang complainant si Mr. A ang complainant nya pagbutang nimo sa imuhang blatter ang complainant nanuoy imuhang gi-arrest. So that is an example, still an example of a misfeasance. Okay? Or another good example, gi-require mo nga gi-require mo sa inyong head to conduct a checkpoint, but you did not conducted a checkpoint. Okay? Instead, nagtambay ra mo sa kilid. Oh, that is still an example of a misfeasance. So, irregularities in the performance of a job. So, sa may but pasabutan na, still it falls to command responsibility. Therefore, if you are the supervisor, if you are the head, or you are the chief of police of a certain police station, whether it's a city or a municipality, so ikaw maoy managang sa imuhang mga subordinates. Another, when you say malfeasance, meaning to say this is the performance of an act which should not be done. Like for example, nang hulitap ka, ikaw mo'y pulis, ikaw po dyan nang hold up. So that is an example of a malfeasance. Or ni-accept kag mga bribes, that is an example of malfeasance. You engage into corruption, that is an example of malfeasance. Or naa kay asawa na mahika, that is an example of a malfeasance. Naa kay gipanabdusan, you did not give a support, that is an example of a malfeasance. Okay, a good example of nonfeasance, when you say nonfeasance, meaning to say wala ka ni buhat sa mga butang that you are required to perform. Like for example, you were kinahanglan kang mubayad og tax but you did not pay your tax. That is an example of a nonfeasance. Require ka nga mo file og SALN. You did not file your SALN. That is an example of a nonfeasance. Or like for example, you are on your tour of duty. Yeah. Naay commotion. You did not respond. Bisag on duty ka, bisan pag off duty ka, bisan pa og naka-on leave ka. Nya kay policeman ka, whenever there are commotions, okay, you need to respond. But what you did not respond. So that is an example of a nonfeasance. Na kay nakitang babae, sexually harassed, you did not respond. Nonfeasance. You were asked by the civilian, nga isang assistance nimo kay gitihulan siya sa mga bystanders, you did not respond. So that is an example of a nonfeasance. So, di ba gi-mention na to ganina nga, if you are the supervisor and you are the head, automatic if there are malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance on the part of your subordinates, as the leader, as the head, you are responsible under the doctrine of command responsibility. Pero, para dili po ka maalahay ka na nila, naa siya yung mga exemptions. So, these are the things that you need to do para di ka ma-appeal. Una, first exemption, when the commanding officer was not properly informed of the acts or omission of his subordinates. Yes, ikaw as leader, you were not informed kuan di ay during checkpoint kapabuyag din nimuhang mga subordinates. Oh. So that will fall to the exemption of command responsibility. Another, when the commander was properly informed and he conducted an immediate investigation of such act or omission. Like for example, balik ta ganina, checkpoint, nya kapabuyag, wala ga uniform ga checkpoint, nya pagkahuman gipangayuan pa jud og kwarta ning mga violators. Example lang. Okay? So, when you heard about it, you immediately conducted an investigation. So, that will fall to the exemption of command responsibility. Or another exemption para di ka mo hulog sa doctrine. When he acted upon lawful orders from higher authorities. So, if that is the case, then you will fall to the exemption of the doctrine itself, which is command responsibility. All right. So I will no longer discuss the features of Republic Act 6975 because I've already discussed that in our previous discussion and also in our previous video. So we'll move forward to Republic Act 8551. So for those who were asking, Mom, di lagi makita ang pages, makita man good. So example diri, the page 23 is visible. So therefore, ang page 24 visible diri, and 25 dili visible kay because the next page mahimong visible ang page 25. Okay? Please look at the number of pages because it will serve as your guide. So again, for those na wala pa nakakita sa ito ang latest pre-recorded video, palihog i-check ninyo. I've already discussed about this. So mo na, anin na lang ta sa ubos. Lateral entry, i-discuss na po na ako. So if ever you do have questions or clarifications, please feel free to raise it or message me. Okay, now let's proceed to this one. Professionalism, welfare, and benefits. So performance evaluation system. Unsa man ni siya? There shall be established performance evaluation system which shall be administered in accordance with the rules, regulations, and standards, and including the code of conduct promulgated by the NAPOLCOM, okay, for members of the PNP. So such PES or performance evaluation system be administered in such way to foster the improvement of individual efficiency and behavioral discipline, as well as the promotion of the organizational effectiveness and respect for the constitutional and human rights of citizens, democratic principles and ideals, and supremacy of civilian authority over the military. So, the rating system as contemplated herein shall be based on the standards provided by the NAPOCOM and shall be considered a result of annual physical, psychological, and neuro psychiatric examination conducted by the PNP officer or the member itself. So as you can see, our PES or performance evaluation system is very important. Okay, to assess if our police officers are performing properly, if they are still effective to their job, and if they know, okay, if they know their assignment. Like for example, if they are assigned as the desk officer, so dapat kinahanglan aware siya as to what are um the jobs and the limitation being the desk officer or himuon siyang team leader. Kinahanglan kabalo siya kung sa trabaho sa team leader, kung sa ilang mga after activity report, so on and so forth. So that is still part of your performance evaluation system. Aside from that, dili ra na siya kay interviewon na sila. Nantawon po na if ang ilahang itsura in the performance evaluation system. Unsa man ilang uniform, uspaw ba? Unsa man ilang sapatos, daot ba? Unsa man ilahang body mass index, is it on the normal range or naa na sila sa obese? So these are also some of the things that are taken into consideration in the performance evaluation system. Another is, ila po ng part of the performance evaluation system is to check if you were able to finish the required minimum educational qualification. Diba? I have mentioned to you na under Republic Act 6975, bisag 72 units ra ka, pwede kang musulod. ug naapoy member of the PC and the INP nga gi-absorb during the creation of the PNP. Munang uban, dili tanan nakasulod nga bachelor's degree. But when Republic Act 6975 was amended by Republic Act 8551, ang nahitabo the minimum qualification in terms with the educational background is instead nga 72, kinahanglan nga bachelor's degree holder. Aside from bachelor's degree holder, kinahanglan you need to have eligibility also. Kung sa may mga eligibility nga pwedeng gamiton niya under 8551, kinahanglan board exam passer. Sa asa man nga board exam? Sa LET ba na, licensure examination, sa bar exam ba na, sa mga nurses ba na, okay? And also, kanang sa mga criminology. Yes, I've mentioned about the LET, the nurses, the dentists, the doctors, ang ilaha pong mga board examinations because ang PNP manggod nato is an organization that is not solely created for the graduates and registered criminologists. Dili ra. But the organization is also accepting other professional courses like coming from the teacher, okay, mga dentist, mga chemist, biologist, so on and so forth. So, motong gi-mention ako ganina, kanamo ko'y uban nga na sulod under 6975, even if na-amend na ang 6975 by 8551, but yet wapat nila nahuman ang required minimum educational qualification. So muna, i-check ko na if they were able to pursue a bachelor's degree. Usap ko na lang tawon is i-check nila if ang imuhang promotion kung within your tenure ba sa pagka PO1 pupunta og PO2 unsa man na promote ba ka or 10-15 years na kanya hantod dun wa ba ka ma-promote. So those are the things that are also being checked. Like another, pila naman kakatuig nag PO3. Nganong wala man kaning kuha og junior leadership course. So dapat those required mandatory training kinahanglan pauna nimo. If you cannot, so that will also be reflected on the performance evaluation system. Now let's talk about promotion. So, a uniformed member of the PNP shall not be eligible for promotion to a higher position or rank unless he or she has successfully passed the corresponding promotional examination. Yes, that is very true. Ang nakalami ra, if you will join the PNP organization, nga licensed criminologist mo, there is no need for you to pass mga PO promotional examination. Kaya nga naman, automatic, you will be qualified for the promotion. Ang imuhunan lamang is that you will pass the interview, you will pass the neuro exam, you will pass the drug test, you will need to pass the final interview. Pero if you were admitted in the PNP organization na napulkom ra ang imuhang gamit, then dili ka pariyo privilege with those nga licensed criminologist. So if napulkom ra ka, for you to be promoted from PO1 papunta o PO2, kinahanglan nga imuhang pasaron sa ang PO promotional exam. So mas tindot jud nga mosulutag PNP nga licensed criminologist. Another or corresponding board examination for the technical services and other profession has satisfactorily completed the appropriate and accredited course coming from the PNPA or equivalent training institution and has satisfactorily passed the required psychiatric, psychological, and drug tests. In addition, no uniform member of the PNP shall be eligible for promotion during the pendency of his administrative case or criminal case or the case has not yet been cleared by the pleb or even in the office of the ombudsman and complaints pre-offered against him or her, if any. Yes, that is true. Kung naigi-file nga kaso nimo, Okay, yawa pa na dismiss. Meaning say pending pa, waiting for trial, okay, or waiting for judgment. So if you're facing criminal or civil charges, di ka mo qualify for promotion. Pero dili na sa promotion na kana po ubang if na kay mga pending nga mga kaso or na suspended ka, na po kay ubang mga dalawat nga dili ka makadawat nganuman due to your charges, criminal or civil, or subject to suspension baka. Okay, like for example, di ka makadawat og PBB if naa kay mga if na kasi tawag ani if nakasuhan ka or na-suspend ka or dili ba ka makadawat o kasi tawag ani dili ka makadawat o Christmas bonus or performance bonus. So mas nami gutong masulod ta sa PNP ya pagkauman maglikay ta og mga kaso. Palikay ta nga masuspend para whenever there are mga high moral like cash bonus, Christmas bonus, mga PBB, so on and so forth, kadawat siya ka. Alright? So, for your assignment, okay, wait. All right. So this will be your assignment. Well, let's add some. Okay. So for your assignment, kindly discuss the importance of performance evaluation system. And then provide at least 4 examples of the following: malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance. So that's it. So please make sure to write your answer directly in the channel. Okay? So see you next pre-recorded video. Bye guys!